So, hey, listen, here's the bottom line, Peter. Now, he's gone, obviously, out of this. Listen, there's more than the share of detractors that don't give Kevin a chance, that really don't, that do treat it as a novelty, as we said. But you and I know better. And I was there in the Weeder offices on one of those years. I think it was 2002. And I almost passed Kevin up as we were going down the hallway. And it was one of those things was like, oh, hey, hey, Kev, what's up? And he was coming back from one of his injuries. I don't remember which. But it was about the same thing, Peter. It was about, geez, there had to be like 12 weeks to the Olympia. And there's no way this guy's going to be on stage in 12 weeks. There's not a chance. He was 210, And I'll be damned if 12 weeks later he wasn't on that stage giving Ronnie Coleman a run for his money. It was insane. I've never seen a guy grow like Kevin Levrone does.
Yeah, and that's why, this is why this is going to be so interesting. We both recognize that he has, genetics like nobody else. Nobody else can gain that amount of muscle in that short a breath of time. And he's had 13 years off now. His body's had a rest. There's got to be a kick in there somewhere dormant. And those genetics haven't gone away. You don't lose genetics like that. The guy is different. He's always been a different bodybuilder.
Well, I'll be curious to see if we can just see somebody in our lifetime make a real successful comeback. Because we can debate all day, Peter, but the bottom line is we haven't really seen any successful comebacks. Again, Arnold. That's about it. You can't really point to another successful comeback since 1980. So,
Hey guys.
That's why I think it's cool that that Kevin's doing this. But I think, like I said, if it was anybody else, I don't give him a snowball's chance in hell because it's Kevin.
Hey guys,
keep that open, man.
Here he is. He's back. Now look, just on the question of comebacks, just from a historical note, Larry Scott.
That's me actually calling you.
Okay.
Would you call him from the bathroom?
Sorry about that.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Peter, how you doing there? All right, guys, go ahead.
Won the Olympia in 65 and 66. He came back in 78 to the Canada Cup and totally bombed. Everybody sort of forgot about that. But Kevin, let's take this scenario. I know you're totally confident.
Wait a minute. We're getting a little preview here. What you got there, champ? What you got?
I was going to pull the abs out, but go ahead. You guys are getting me fired up too much. See, that's why I can't talk to Peter like this. He makes me just want to start peeling stuff off, man.
Go ahead. Hey, listen, you want to give a preview that the fans would love it, man.
I have that effect on women as well, Kevin.
This is true.
It's the hair, the
I know,
anyway,
right?
The point I was trying to make there was, what if you got to 2 or 3 weeks out and you were just... It wasn't the way.
It ain't going to happen.
It's not even in your mindset.
It's not happening like that, Peter.
Yeah.
It's not.
Now, compare, just generally, the top 6 Olympians this last year to the conditions of the Olympians you used to go up against. Just compare that aspect, that condition aspect.
Of the what? Say that again.
Are the guys as conditioned today as you guys were in the 90s? The Sean and Dorian and, Fleck when he's on form and you. Is there a comparison? Are they better today? Is it different?
I'd rather not comment on that. Honestly.
That Kevin Levrone came back.
Well, let's comment on this. I
can't reveal too much here. I probably already said too much.
Kevin, you picked the best year of Kevin Levrone that you like, best physique, whatever year it might be. You picked your best version. What percentage of that can we expect to see on the Olympia stage?
What year do you think I was at my best? I'm going to ask Bob, first, and then I'm going to ask Peter.
There's a bunch. Geez, I don't know. Was it 90? I had you winning 2 Olympias, actually. I think it was it 97? Help me out, Peter. 97 and 2000? It was 2 years there.
2000, you pushed Ronnie very close.
Yeah, I did.
I think it was those 2 years, but that I thought I saw the best version of that easily, to me, could have and should have won the Olympia. So, pick one of those years. But how close do you think you can get to that now? Is it unrealistic to think that you actually could duplicate?
Let me ask you this. Do you think that year that you think I should have beat one of those guys, do you think that Levrone would win today?
That's a good question.
That's the question.
That is the question. That's a good one.
And that's what we need to find out. That's the big question mark.
I would, in my perfect scenario,
you follow what I'm saying?
Because love to see that physique on stage in between Phil Heath and Dexter Jackson.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because we know that again, these guys are bigger today. I mean, we know they're bigger. I don't know what they're doing to get bigger, but they're carrying a lot more muscle. Now whether that muscle is conditioned or not, that's a whole different story. So we're trying to find out what looks different. What's the difference between the best back in the day to the guys today? That's the question mark. How will our physiques pair up? Right, Peter?
Let's send it over to Peter.
Exactly. I think your two best looks for me were the 94 Arnold. Do you remember in my old office I had a shot of you?
Absolutely.
With a handsport. You shredded from head to foot. And then I think, again, you were a little bit bigger in 95, but I think you were second in the Olympia that year. Yeah. That, to me, was your 2 years because everything was there, But particularly 94 Arnold was like, wow, that guy is just, it was beyond ripped, the condition.
Yeah, and guess what? That was 1 year after I tore my chest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, yeah. But, which again,
so let me ask you, Peter, how would that Levrone, that guy, do against today's guys? Your opinion. I mean,
the 94 Arnold guy could maybe win. He could certainly be top three. That's how good that was. That condition. That's like brain. You see, this is what Kevin does. The first time I ever interviewed him, I don't remember this, Kevin, it was 2 days after the 92 Olympia. You'd done the English Grand Prix the night before. We met in a Nottingham hotel and we did an interview. But the interview turned into Kevin interviewing me. This is what he's just done again. He's interviewing us.
I remember.
How did you do this? How did you do that? Where did the hair come from? He was always talking.
Because you guys have just as much experience as I do. So what I need to know is your opinion because I'm going to take that into the whole equation here.
Yeah.
You've seen these guys on stage more than I have.
Oh yeah.
Bob, you're sitting there emceeing them. You know.
Right. Oh yeah.
So what package and what year do you think? What would you think that I would have to bring?
I guess I'm with Peter on that. I mean, any of those years in the 90s, to me, 95, 97, 93, they were phenomenal years. I mean, you had different looks for those, but again, we come back. What can you get back to that? Can we? What percentage? Can you get to 90% of that? 95%? Is it? What do you think? Just on your own. I mean, obviously, you're in uncharted waters here, bro. You've never been in this position before.
I'm not going to respond to that material, Bob.
You'd be a hard ass, huh?
Let's just go back in the day because...
Right, Chick?
I'll remember that at the press conference, by the way. So
no, I'm not going to be a cocky bodybuilder.
You were setting yourself up.
Confident, but not cocky.
I like it. I follow
Matter of fact, you know what? I loved Phil Heath's Instagram post yesterday. He has a flair and a way about him that comes across really, really cool. He just says things out of nowhere. He's signing the wall. He goes, I didn't put a number on this because I don't plan on losing. I was like, it's so kind of like cool and clever,
Sure.
That was awesome, man.
Let's back to the 90s. One of the things about the 90s that made it special was the Grand Prix tours. Because we used to box because we were stuck together for 2 or 3 weeks, 6 or 7 hours, 4 o'clock flights in the morning.
Oh, that's crazy.
A lot of stories concerning you because you were the court jester. Do you remember the time in 97 you shared a room with Kenny Jones?
Oh, God.
Absolutely, yes.
Tell us that story.
Well, somehow I ended up with this our roommate, and Kenny. I didn't know Kenny at the time. Very, very interesting guy. For those of you out there don't know Kenny, but the guy was just had a unique personality. He was a polar bear guy, that kind of like in the polar bear swim team or something like this. So he didn't mind cold. We were staying in this hotel. He actually went and jumped in the waterfall in the wintertime with his posing trunks on, right out there in the hotel. I don't know if you remember that, Peter, but yeah, I think it's about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. We got done the show, came back to the hotel. It was freezing outside. He decides to jump in the fountain outside of the hotel in his posing trunks with nothing else on. And it became like him and I kind of became little best buddies. You know, he would follow me around everywhere, and he just became that guy that, you know, that kind of like, you know, I was like, man, how did I end up with this guy? You know, New York guy, kind of like from Jersey. He was cool. In the airport, same thing. You know, Kenny was just, he had a great personality. He was just unique, weird, strange dude to be around, man. Really.
When you shared the room with him, didn't you have to leave the room?
Yeah, I actually had to leave the room to get some sleep because he was snoring too much.
You said he snored like you were in the corridor.
Dude, it was terrible.
And you said that little guy snores like a big ass cow.
Yeah, constantly, all day long. I'm like, man, this is crazy. You know, you go on these tours and you learn so much. You learn so much about the personalities of people. You know, why they're in the positions that they are. You learn so much about just yourself. You learn so much about things to do, things not to do, watching other people and everything. And it just helps build. It helps you, man. It helps build personalities and everything. It's just kind of cool. I miss those tours, man. I really do.
Yeah, they were great bonding. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah.
You know, I would go like hours without eating. I would go like, 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours without even eating food. And I knew that by flying on the plane, I would give all the other guys my food. They would eat the food. They would be sitting there in one spot eating the food. And I knew by them sitting there and eating that their bodies would blow up with water. So I would just sit there and feed them my food. And meanwhile, I'm up walking around, keeping my blood circulating in my body so that when the plane lands, I'm going to be ripped and shredded. They would sit there in that spot and eat constantly. NASA would eat. Milos would sit there and eat. Sonny Smith would sit there and eat. They all would sit there and eat because they're starving and didn't know that by them sitting there and not moving around, their bodies are going to blow up and go fluid. So that was part of the strategy that I learned as well.
You kept on feeding them deliberately.
Yeah.
Now, I remember another time, you brought another memory back. 94 European Grand Prix Tour. We were in Milan, Italy, and then we had to get on an 8-hour train journey through the Pyrenees to Lyon in France. And we all got on the train. It was an old-fashioned train. We were all in different compartments. The trolley came along with all the food on it. You bought most of the food.
Yeah.
You had it all in your compartment, and you were doling out to the guys. You weren't overcharging, but it was like you were an illicit black market dealer. You know, Kevin all the food. He's bought all the sandwiches and everything. Do you remember that? You were just doling. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it took to get in their heads and to try to control the little situation going on, you know, all kind of worked out by the time you hit the stage.
Well, Kevin, as somebody who stood next to you at your first national show, that was the 91 Nationals in Pittsburgh, to this day still regarded as probably the toughest and deepest national lineup ever. To somebody who will now be standing next to you on the Olympia stage all these years later, let me just tell you, my friend, it's been a great journey. And
thank you.
I'm very excited to see you on stage, you know, teaching these young guys what it's all about, but showing them what you got. Let me guess. The biggest mistake these guys can make is taking you lightly.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've learned a lot from a lot of legends. Lee Labrada, I remember, you know, how he would go through his compulsory poses, and so I'm putting myself in that mindset of how he would just stand on stage and whether not even called out, you know, he would just be back there in a lineup, just like a statue, like, wow. And you couldn't help but look at the guy. Sure. I don't know if you guys remember those days, but, that's conditioning. That's conditioning that you don't see today, and that's the representation for the sport that's missing today, and you take that into the posing routines, how Ali Labrada or Lee Haney and, and Gaspari and how these guys would just, the presentations meant so much because it wasn't just being big, it's about being an artist. It's about presenting quality of health, moving, looking like that statue, that Greek god guy. And that's what our sport was built upon. And I think that's what's missing today. And out of all the power in me and everything that I've learned throughout my whole entire career, that's what I want to bring to Vegas, just to give the world the experience of the ones that were too young to see it and the ones that kind of like missed it or didn't understand it, and then the competitors that didn't have a chance to compete against us, for them to feel that aura going on around them. And I'm just looking forward to it and honored that, I have this opportunity to represent our era of bodybuilding.
Kevin, you touched on posing there, and I think one of the most dramatic posing routines I've ever seen was in 2001, just a few weeks after 9/11, and you posed to Hero.
Yeah.
It just fit the whole mood of what the country was feeling. It was like 5 or 6 weeks after 9/11. We were in Vegas, but Vegas was almost deserted because nobody was flying anywhere. But that really hit home. So what do you think about the posing round? Here we go, Bob. Not being judged now. Is that an oversight in your eyes?
Yeah. I are they not judging the posing round no more?
No.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. It's a shame because that posing round, I think the presentation of that athlete's personality, I think by them not judging that, it's not really going to be taken that serious by the athlete. If they were to judge it, I think the athlete will put that time in like he does with his training and everything else for the preparation. Because let me tell you, when you don't judge a posing round, you're not really, and psychologically, if an athlete knows, well, this round is not going to be judged, then I don't think they're going to worry about how they move, their presentation, or how many cuts or how many striations and serratus that they're going to be worried about showing, because they're not going to be judging that round anyway. So it's kind of a shame because the fans won't have the opportunity to feel and really see in depth the personality of that bodybuilder come through. If they're not judging it, I don't care if they're not judging it, if they're judging it, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. That's the opportunity for me to just show my physique for the 3 minutes or whatever it is in the best light that I possibly can. In our moments of being, Bob, you know how it is. Those are our moments. Sure. We don't want those moments taken away. Those are our moments to connect and to go through that of everything, all those years of training and just whatever it is. That's what's going to move us. That's what's going to connect us to the crowd. I think they should bring it back. It's a shame that they're not going to be judging it.
Well, here's the thing. So, me and Peter have been going back and forth at this for 10 years, but here's the problem I got, bro. It's never been judged. Even back then when it was allegedly judged, it wasn't. Let me ask you a question, Kev. Do you think you were a better poser than Dorian Yates? I mean, this isn't even disputable. Of course you were. Yeah. I mean, listen, you're one of the best in the business. You, Sean Ray, Lee Labrada. I mean, you guys are always mentioned as the best posers. Listen, you were heads and tails above Dorian Yates when it came to the art of posing. But in the year that you took second place, if you won the posing round, you never won a posing round. How can that be? And that's why me and Peter love to argue about this, because it was never judged. It wasn't judged then. It's not judged now.
Let me just jump in quickly because we've got to go back to Kevin. I've always seen the posing round as another chance for the judges to see, or for the guy to show his best shots, So you're not judging the dancing or whatever. You're still judging the physique. It's another way of looking at the physique instead of the mandatories. Like Kevin's, signature poses and everything would be there. We'll have that discussion again, Bob.
Yeah, well, listen. That's
so, Peter, do you think that they should judge the posing round?
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like you. It's by habit. If it's not judged, you might as well just say, well, let's just jump to the pose.
That's part of the show, man.
Oh, and listen, and it's still part of the show because Kevin Levrone is going to go out on that Olympia stage this September in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the Joe Weider final stage, and you're going to bring the house down, bro. There's going to be I'm going to give you the early prediction. Bob Stradamus.
Thanks, man.
Standing ovation for Kevin Levrone. One of the best routines you're ever going to see. Different appreciation from the fans today of the 90s physiques, Kevin, and what you brought to the table. My question is this, though, Kevin, and I'm gonna end with this. Is this a one-off? Is this it? Like Kevin Levrone on the Olympia stage, do or die, whether you take first, last, or in between.
Yeah.
Will you see Kevin Levrone on another stage? Will you continue your journey, or is this it?
No, buy the tickets now because this is the last. This is the last presentation, and this is it. This is
Kevin, let's be reflective here.
Bob, I'm representing you, man.
Yeah, you are.
I'm representing Ronnie Coleman. I'm representing Yates. I'm representing Sean. I'm representing Flex. I'm representing all the guys, man, from that time.
Well, like
this is something that
it takes me back to '91. Like I say, when we were competing, against each other. You were the new guy. Came out of nowhere.
And let's talk about your posing. I mean, you're Night of Champions. I mean, dude, come on now.
Listen, that was judged. Hey, listen. Speaking of which, see now if that was judged, I'd have beaten Marcus Roll. Like Beauty and the Beast, we were standing there.
Yeah,
Beauty and
Bob,
the Beast.
you're a great poser.
Appreciate that, Kevin. But it didn't do me any good for the standings. Come on, Marcus Roll couldn't pose his way out of a paper bag. How do I lose?
Well, look, man, you're the Mr. Olympia Masters. I don't have that title.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to be on Olympia stage. Peter McGough will be there front and center. I think this is going to be a fantastic Olympia. And Peter, I know this. I'm looking forward to this Olympia probably as much as any Olympia in the history, and especially with Kevin there.
Yeah, I'm carrying a whole decade on my shoulders.
13 years.
Kevin, let's like I said before, let's be reflective. This will be the first Olympia that you've done, and Joe Weider's not there. Is that going to be a gap in the experience for you?
I was just thinking about that. How would Joe want to see this? And how would he would be probably so excited. Of course, it's going to be a gap. Because I've always been on stage and kind of looked down there and seen Joe and Betty sitting there and backstage, and Joe would be there when we come backstage after the final award presentations and take photos with us and everything. It's going to be sad that he's not there. It's going to be different, but we will be able to look around and see faces that I'm very, very familiar with. And your face would be one, Robin's face would be the other, Jimmy's face would be the other, and just we'll still have family there, man, from that area representing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, the nice thing is, Kevin, is the spirit of Joe Weider, of course, is always there on Olympia stage. We honor Joe every single year with the Olympia, and David Pecker, I think, has done a nice job, and Robin Chang, of course, putting this production on. The one thing you're going to love, bro, is the production is so far and above what it used to be that you're going to absolutely love getting out on that stage, 10,000 people plus in attendance, a sold-out Orleans arena. Man. And Peter, you'll be there to cover it all, my friend.
It's going to be pretty phenomenal. And with knowing this also, knowing that they don't have a problem. If somebody deserves to win now, they're going to give it to that person that deserves to have it. That's another change that I see happening. That wasn't taking place back when I was on stage. So looking forward to it. There's a lot to train for there.
All right, Kev, I'm going to leave you with this because we got to get going. But close your eyes for a second, my friend. And could this be possibly what you hear, Peter? And your new Olympia champion, Kevin Levrone. What you think of that, brother?
Hey, what was the music? Do they still play that music?
Oh, yeah, the Olympia theme song is still playing.
Oh, my God, man.
Listen, you're going to get all kinds of flashbacks, like I say, but a lot of old faces, a lot of new faces, and like I say, Jim Mannion, they're in attendance, of course, carry on the tradition that Joe started many years ago, in 1965. But listen, it's going to be a great one, man. This is history in the making, Peter.
Really
and I think
is.
if anybody's got a shot to do it, It's our buddy Kevin.
So, final message, Kevin. What do you want to tell the bodybuilding community about this?
I just want to tell the community, thank you for all your support. Best fans in the world. This is the best sport in the world. I've learned a lot from this sport, and you guys are my family. When I go in the gym and I train, when I wake up, when I eat those meals I don't feel like eating, I'm doing it for this sport and the sport that's made me who I am today. And nothing but huge respect for each and every person that I've met, for our industry, because, you know, when I walk out on stage, I'm representing the IFBB, and it's just a beautiful thing, and that I'm looking forward to, man. I never thought that, you know, I would be in this position. I would be able to win as much as I did, so I'm doing it because I feel like I'm called to do this for us. I really do.
Well, Kev, we appreciate you taking the time to touch base with us here at MD, and of course the fans around the world that are going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada for this year's Olympia. Kev, we're just over 3 months until game time, so we will see you, of course, in Las Vegas at the press conference, front and center. For Peter McGough, this is Bob Cicherillo and Kevin Levrone. We're out, everybody.
Boom.
Thanks, Kevin.
Peace, guys.